Hey, everybody, this is Kate Ladon, and this is the Build a Brand Show, a weekly show where we break down strategies and tips to grow your personal brand into an industry thought leader, movement maker, and sought after expert. And this week, I want to talk about how to use social media to get larger media opportunities. You see, most people, and if you know me, you know I love LinkedIn, they are creating great content on their platform of choice. So, whatever it is, whether it's TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, you're building your followership there and you're getting really great, excited audience members who then you convert into strategic partners, clients, evangelists, customers, and the like. And most of us think, okay, if I become a known expert on these spaces, opportunities, especially with the media, are just going to pour into my lap. And while that definitely is the case, sometimes you got to give that engine a little bit of a push if you want to get yourself in top tier media outlets. So, what I recommend you do is shift your mindset to keeping social posts strictly on the platform and look at them as many hooks and testing grounds to find a juicy story topic or lead, and then use the momentum you're gaining to reach out to journalists and pitch it as a story. Now, I want to get in the trenches and do a play by play of exactly how I did this a couple of weeks ago. So let's look at this post. About 2 months ago on a Friday morning, I was sitting down drinking coffee and I had my power playbook, my posting power playbook right in front of me. And I really felt compelled to share about our bereavement policy at Brandwise. Recently, our employee had shared about how she lost her dog and how she was so surprised that we gave her paid time off to grieve his loss. And it reminded me of when I was in corporate America and I lost my grandmother, who was like my second grandmother. She was literally on her deathbed, and I had an opportunity to fly down, hold her hand as they said goodbye, come back, and then fly back down for her funeral. So bright eyed and bushy tailed, well, actually very sad eyed, and not bushy tailed. I say that to get the idea of like how naive I was. I went down to my HR office and I asked for, you know, our bereavement policy. And I was met with this response of, well, you get 1 day because it wasn't an immediate family. And I was floored by this. It was probably the first of many flags that let me know I am not meant to be in corporate. And I vowed if, we ever grow a team, we're never going to make people work through grief like I was working through grief. It was horrible. And like I said, probably more than anything exposed my naivety thinking that policies would be so personal in that company. So whatever, the key thing is I decided, nope, it's not going to be like that at my company. And I wrote a post about this. Now, I used one of our power posting frameworks to do this. So I'm not surprised that it got traction, especially because it is a really personal story. But I didn't put it out there just to get traction. I put it out there because I really saw how impactful it was for her to be able to get that time to grieve. And I wanted other companies to take note of this. So of course I put it on LinkedIn. Now this thing got away from me in a way that I didn't even expect it to. I thought maybe I get a couple hundred likes, pretty good engagement like I usually do. And within like 30 minutes, I was past that. And that's when I realized, oh, people are in pain. And this is something that's really resonating with them. As I was reading through the comment section, the stories just kept getting more traumatic and sadder, and people really started to have in thread conversations, in comment conversations, and kind of have a life of its own in the comments thread. We had over 1,000 shares, about over 50,000 pieces of interaction, and I got, I think in 3 days, 5,500 followers. And what was more important than that was a lot of people reached out in my DM saying, hey, I'm going through a really hard time. What do you think? Or my company did X, Y, and Z. What do you think of this? And I mean, like really heartfelt conversation. So it was a beautifully painful way to connect with my audience and have some really really vulnerable conversations with people. And conversely, I heard from people in the comment section saying their company has been so great about working with them through grief, and shared some examples with that. But it became very clear to me once it got over even the million mark in impressions, like this is a hot topic and I need to use it as a story lead and reach out to the media. So I made my list. I wanted to go after Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., a few other places that I knew are interested in pieces about culture and creating culture in a way that there's a personal touch to it, and share some of these really real and raw stories of loss and working through grief. So what I did is I took that link, I reached out to a few journalists and I said, hey, I just want to let you know this has taken on a life of its own. It's a topic that's near and dear to my heart, and evidently near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, as we're seeing over 50,000 pieces of engagement, 3.5 million impressions, thousands of shares. I think you should cover this. Now, I used a more polished hook than that, and I did a few things to really build rapport. But at the end of the day, I had 3 people respond and 1 person cover it. And the person who covered it writes for Entrepreneur. And shortly after I made that post, this article came out: Corporate America is killing us. Employees share gut-wrenching stories that reveal a compassion crisis. And it led with my story. So what is the key themes there? Number one, you need to be looking at your social media posts as leverage to get larger exposure, and not for simply your own gain and personal brand building. But if you're sharing content around this, you're creating content around things, it's probably because you're really passionate about it and you want to make a move in an industry. You want to create a movement. You want to positively impact people's lives. And big publications like Entrepreneur and Forbes, they have the reach to allow you to do that, to allow me to touch not only the lives of the 3.5 million people who saw that, but reach beyond where corporate decision makers are reading this and hopefully coming up with better policies for their people. So there's 2 aspects of it, right? There's the personal brand building game, but there's also the ability to speak on a larger platform and to start to build relationships with journalists. So my challenge for you this week is to look at your social media posts and examine which ones may be hook worthy for the media. Now, mine went viral, and they didn't cover this because it went viral. They covered this because of the types of stories that I highlighted in the comment section. So don't be thinking you need to have, over 20,000 followers like I do on the platform, or millions of impressions on a post to make this work for you. You just need to figure out what's going to actually be impactful for an audience and a journalist. So if you need help with that, definitely reach out. We have some guides on the website to help. And if you need help with how to create a post that is powerful and punchy and has a hook to it and conveys these really important ideas in a way that gets eyeballs on it, you can grab our Power Posting Playbook, the one that I use to inspire this. But the key thing here all is don't be greedy with that content. You already did the work and put it out there on social media. Now do the next level of work and use it to elevate your brand to bigger media outlets. That, my friends, is playing chess, not checkers, with your social media and your personal brand. All right, if you liked that, pay attention, listen to more of our shows. We do this on a weekly basis. Like I said, I break down strategies just like this to help you become a thought leader and a known expert in your field. If you have any questions or topics you want specifically covered, drop that in the comments section. I'll see y'all next week.